No, nobody.
It's so great to see all of you. I see this room full. Welcome. Good morning and welcome to our municipal managers update. If by chance I haven't had a chance to meet you, my name is Pam Kelly. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Montgomery County. And we are excited to be able to have this opportunity to present the program to you today. This is our 6th annual event. It has grown from, I believe, 12 municipal managers to now 24 over the 6 years, and thus the opportunity now to create 3 different events so that all of our members have a chance to meet our managers and be able to spend a little bit more time with you rather than that 2-minute update where we're pulling you off the stage to make sure that we have time to cover everyone. So again, thank you. I'd like to thank our sponsors. McMahon and Associates has been our founding sponsor and been with us from the beginning. Dan Ruby will give you a little bit more information about McMahon as we go along. We'd also like to recognize Carleysville Bank and Kreischer Miller as sponsors. And Jean, I'd like to introduce you and say a few words. Sure.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for coming out. I just want to thank our municipalities. Thanks for coming out. Looking forward to hearing all the updates. Carleysville Bank is a hometown community bank, so we're looking for a checking account for 1% for personal. Come see us. One of our branches, and also we help our business customers. So locally owned businesses, one of our expertise.
Thank you, Jean. And again, thank you for your support. So the Municipal Managers event is a program of our Government Affairs Committee. So our Government Affairs Committee provides information to members on legislative issues, keeps you informed on concerns and things that we can present to county and state officials. They also bring together programming when we could have, again, elected officials together to meet with the members and, of course, host today's event as well. So I'd like to introduce you to our Government Affairs Committee. Our chair, David Honorato from Paddock, Honorato and Fetterman. John Ernst, Lansdale Borough. Duncan Reed from Edward Jones, who's joining us virtually, and Dan Reedy from McMahon Associates. Again, thank you. There's Duncan. I'd also like to recognize our board members and our visionary members that are with us today. Mary Griffith Alvarado from Fulton Bank is our board chair. I'm going to point out Duncan again. Duncan Reed, Edward Jones is our immediate past chair. Nanette Carney from the Carney Group is our executive committee member, and John Ernst, Lansdale Borough, the director, David Honorato, Paddock, Honorato and Fetterman, a director, and Stan Broberman, Broberman Associates is a director as well, and Dan Reedy from McMahon Associates is our board chair emeritus. So again, thank you for your support and for being here today. Also, our visionary members that are here today, Aaron Debro from Hatfield Township will be joining us shortly. Stan Broberman from Broberman Associates, April Donahue from QNB Bank, John Ernst from Lansdale Borough, Mary Griffith Alvarado from Fulton Bank, Lisa Martin from Costco Wholesale, David Honorato from Paddock, Honorato and Fetterman, Dan Reedy from McMahon Associates, Duncan Reed again from Edward Jones Investments, Nanette Carney, the Carney Group, Mike Thompson from Envoy Mortgage, Jean Weeder from Carleysville Bank, and Lauren Zelnick from Baum Smith and Clemens. Again, we appreciate your support as visionary members, providing additional support to the chamber in addition to your membership dues. At this time, I'd like to get the program started and again introduce you to Dan Reedy from McMahon Associates, who will be our moderator for the program.
Hold your applause. Thank you. Good morning. Hi, everyone. For some of us, it's been a long couple of days, but it reinforces the purpose of why we as a chamber and as a business community need to have events like this. The old cliche that all politics are local is so true, and I think we're living and breathing it here in Montgomery County specifically, and it's very timely that we're kicking off our series again. It's a badge of honor for us in the Government Affairs Committee that we've grown this program to where we used to meet face to face, and then we had to take a step back because of COVID, but now we're able to meet again. And this program has grown, like I said, doubled in the last 6 years. So we have 24 municipalities that we are now going to be hearing from over the next 3 weeks. And we welcome your feedback. We welcome your questions. The format's going to be real simple. we're going to introduce each municipal leader from their respective town. They're going to give an update on what's happening in their neck of the woods, if you will. And then once that's all done, we will then open it up for questions. If you have any questions via Zoom, are we just asking them to put it in the chat line? Or,
I think we're gonna have to ask them to just.
well, we'll just ask them to raise their hand. We'll see you and of course, acknowledge you. As Pam mentioned, McMahon Associates, my employer, and Tracer, which is the unit that I work for, we're a proud sponsor of this event, or co-sponsor of this event, along with our partners. McMahon's been around for 40+ years, primarily traffic engineering and design in the private and public sector. So our municipal friends are well aware of the body of work that we do, but our private sector friends, if you have any questions, you need any assistance with any developments that impacts traffic in the local communities or even in the state, we're more than happy to listen. So feel free to reach out to me or Casey Moore. His information is in our directory. So that's our little commercial real quick. So again, now we're going to kick things off. I like to add a little color commentary to each of the managers, and we have some new folks from Bucks County here today, so I'll be nice to them. All right, well, so get up here. Now, here's a real good guy who took over for a real nice woman who's now running Southbound Borough. Sean Karen. Come on. Sean replaced Sandra when she took her position over Upper Gwinnett. He's been around for many, many years, and he's doing a tremendous job over at Chalfont. We're delighted to have you here today and love to hear what you have to say.
All right.
Thank you.
We, in Chalfont, we have a townhouse development, which is most of the site work's done, and they're getting through the permit process. And they're about to start putting up, the first foundation's about to go in for 61 townhouses at the corner of Bristol and Butler Avenue.
That's the old bowling alley, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So that should be starting, hopefully, well, if they have their way, it'll be starting next week. But hopefully before the end of the year, they'll have a foundation in the ground and they'll start building. Those, like many properties in the borough, are anticipated to sell very quickly once they are listed for sale. We'll see what happens. I know they're anxious to get started and get them listed for sale here. Other than that, we're working through the budget process. We're pretty much finalized here for advertising it next week, and we will be, we have a trail project, which will connect 3 borough open spaces and parks together, and it pulls together at least 4 developments along the Neshaminy Creek, and it'll tie into neighboring New Britain Township, into North Branch Park behind their municipal building. So that's an exciting project for us because our trail system is being utilized heavily over the past 2 years, more so than we've seen in recent history anyway, or since it's been created. There's a real demand there for that. And next year, we also have a stormwater project. It's the first stormwater replacement project Chalfont's ever taken on. It's large scale for us. We're repaving 3 streets in the Linden Field development, and we're replacing the entire stormwater system under all those. Stormwater's been a long time debated item for Chalfont and how to pursue it. And this is the first major infrastructure project we're taking on. So that's pretty much it.
Terrific. Thank you. So we got a lot of exciting things going on over there.
Very
Who's
exciting.
the developer of the townhouses?
Judd.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean. And again, we're going to welcome questions at the end as well. So if you have a question for a specific manager, write it down here in house. And for the folks watching us via Zoom, wave your hand and we'll track you down. Okay, next on the hit list, my friend from my neighboring community, Hatfield Borough, is Jamie Snyder. I just found out this morning that her father and I and my father-in-law are long old friends, and I never connected the dots until this morning. So,
look so much
you, yeah, believe me, you look like your mother. Trust me.
She'll be happy to hear that.
Absolutely. But in any event, known Jamie, she's an up-and-comer, terrific young lady, wonderful assistant manager here at Hatfield Borough. As you well know, Mike DePinnis is retiring at the end of the year, and they have a succession plan, and if all goes well, then you'll have an interim and then permanent, but that's another topic for another day. But for now, yeah, right. She has a new board, by the way. Again, all politics and little. We had a flip yesterday in Hatfield Borough, but I think she's going to be fantastic. So, Jane,
Great, thank you. So good morning, everyone. I just want to thank the chamber for having me and everyone this morning. It's so great to be back in person. I do not pride myself on being very outgoing. I say maybe introvert, but I can't believe how much that I really did miss seeing everyone in person and not over a computer. And when I meet you for the first time, like, I don't know if they really look like that, because sometimes they don't look how you look in person. So some things that are going on in Hatfield Borough, many of you might know, we're a really small community, only 0.7 of 1 square mile, about 3,200 residents. But we have a ton of stuff going on. This year alone, we've hired 2 new full-time employees. We promoted our public works, basically assistant public works director to be our public works director, hired a full-time public works employee, and also hired here's the man of the hour that just walked in. We also hired a full-time administrative assistant who is training under me to become the new assistant manager next year. We own and operate our own electric system in Hatfield Borough. We're one of 35 municipalities that do that in Pennsylvania. Council has committed funds in the budget every year to update our infrastructure, help keeping electric costs low, and just working to make sure we have reliable power for the residents of Hatfield Borough. What that means for us is we just integrated an AMI system, which is a smart meter system. So easy to take meter readings. It's easier for our customers to be able to go online and track their usage. So that's just a plus. If you live in Hatfield Borough, you can go online to our customer portal. You'll be able to see what you use every day. And it just helps you kind of regulate your usage in your home and help you save money. We're also in the process of building a behind the meter generator. So this generator will be located at our public works facility. It will take Hatfield Borough off the grid during peak shaving hours. So peak days, so I'm going to be real simple, really hot days or really cold days will come off the system, and that will lower our energy costs overall. The generator also is able to back up roughly 90% of Hatfield Borough in a power outage. So if there was a major storm like Sandy, where Hatfield Borough lost power for 3 days, we can now provide power to most of our residents over those 3 days. So that generator will be able to do that for us. That's supposed to be up and running December of this year. So hopefully we'll hit maybe a peak day at the end of December. Some grants we have going on. I'm always proud because I work on the grants, but I'm always proud when Hatfield Borough gets awarded money. We have some major projects starting in 2022. We're going to be doing H2O and PA small water for our sanitary and storm sewer on East Broad Street, West Broad Street, and North Main Street. We'll be placing our entire sanitary and storm system on those 3 roads. As you know, being a small town, East and West Broad is a main thoroughfare from Hatfield Township. So we're the little donut hole inside them. So that's a, you know what it's like.
She stole my line.
donuts, somebody said donuts?
So something big. We also received some CDBG grants to replace the sanitary on Orchard. We're working with a lot of municipalities that are in this room today. We got, with the lead from Upper Gwinnett, we got a Liberty Trail feasibility study grant that's going on. We were just awarded an $84,000 county transportation program grant, kind of connected to the Liberty Bell Trail, where we're going to be putting a crossing very similar to the one out here on Main Street, a lighted mast arm. So just to make the crossing more identifiable in the borough. It's a hot spot, you know, Mom's Water Ice. If you ever come to the borough, that's the place to be. The lines are down the street. So we have that. And to finish up, there's not a lot of development that goes on in a small municipality. We do have 18 townhomes that are coming into Hatfield Borough. So that's really big for us, like huge. I mean, that's something to say. So that's, they're still working through the process of preliminary land development for that. We have 4 homes going up on the corner of Coffle and Vine Street. And then just some single family homes that are being torn down. And then everyone's trying to make, $100 out of $1. So those single family homes are now you're seeing turn into twins or duplexes, those things. So a lot going on in Hatfield Borough. Looking forward to taking the borough one step further next year. So any questions will be at the end. I want to say, if I'm not here, please feel free to email me because I do have another board meeting I have to go to that starts at 10. So if I run, I'm really apologetic about it. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Shane.
Oh, yeah.
You need to have a little more coffee in the morning.
I'm just a fast talker. I got kids, I gotta get
And she's not lying. Everyone knows I'm on record. Mom's ice cream is the best around. My family spends half our community over there, Hatfield Township and the borough. She's not lying. The lines are great and they're very, very nice people. So, speaking of Hatfield Township, the man, the myth, the legend, my tax collector, or not my manager. I think somebody else is going to be your tax collector. Well, you can probably fill people in on that. But if you folks don't know Aaron Bebro has been the manager in Hatfield, what, 9 years now? No kidding. Wow. That's amazing.
Had a lot of hair when I started.
Yeah, and by the way, beautiful family, wife, 2 children, out fixed coverage, big time. We don't hold it against him, he's a Stiller fan, but we tolerate him. But all kidding aside, we are very proud to have him representing our town. Here's Aaron Bebro from Hatfield Township.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Thanks. Last year I was in sweatpants, so this is a step down. Did want to say congratulations to our sponsor and our host, Dan Reevy, who is going to be the tax collector in Hatfield Township after Tuesday. If only I could get back all the money I spent on his opponent.
See what I mean? That's good luck.
We had a great year in Hatfield, a head spinning year. But a good year nonetheless. A lot of real physical improvements that you've seen that take sometimes decades of work that goes into it. But you're finally seeing that in Hatfield, some of those improvements that I'm going to highlight this morning. You know, I call it a year of that's never going to happen in my life. Because we hear from residents all the time, that's never going to happen. Cowpath and Orvilla, we've had 50 accidents over the last 5 years. People get hurt. There's been people close to and horrible things happening there. We heard from residents for years, you're never going to fix it. You guys have been talking about that for 30 years. Well, we fixed it. You know, this year we fixed it. And really thanks to our partners where Dan works at McMahon and Associates. Thanks to some of the partnerships they've leveraged and the grants that we received, we were able to fix that project this year after a lot of work. Thanks to the local 542s, you may see their signs around in Hatfield. We had a former commissioner who was a business agent for the operating engineer 542 out of Fort Washington. And they came in and demoed every property we buy. If we need a demo, they come in and do it for free. They have an apprenticeship program. So it's a great public-private partnership where they're teaching their apprentices how to operate machinery and our taxpayers are benefiting from it. So gas station on Cowpath, 3 homes on Orvilla. There's a house right now on Vine Street near our park that's being torn down at no cost to the taxpayers. It's been a great partnership that we've had. The other one, this will never happen in my lifetime, the PA 309 Connector Road, which may never happen, but it is happening. I've heard from residents ever since I got to Hatfield, and it's sad to see some of the ones that passed away since, but they would tell me that, you know, this project was called the Piedmont Highway back in the 60s. This isn't going to happen, Aaron, but we need it. We have trucks, big trucks, and we're going to talk about why, and more coming through these small roads in Hatfield that were not designed for big trucks. And some people had vision 70 years ago that it would make sense for this corridor to have a large connection that takes you from the turnpike at the Sumneytown Exchange in Colesville and gets you over to 309, our 2 major routes in that area. And half of it was built. And now finally, 2 weeks ago, the phase 2 was awarded, or the bids were opened. Alan Myers, $42 million low bidder. So that this will never happen in our lifetime, is going to at least begin in our lifetime. Let's hope we all see it to its completion. We doubled the size of Clemens Park this year, our second largest park, over by Clemens Food Group. And with that expansion, our commissioners leased 8 acres of it to Garden of Health, which is a great local nonprofit. If you're not familiar with, please get familiar with and help out. Actually, I think not too far from here is one of the locations where they give out a lot of their food. So for the next 10 years, Garden of Health is going to develop and grow what we will hope to be called the Garden of Hatfield, which produce will then be given to the low-income families throughout our region. So it's a great, another public-private partnership. More jokes about Dan. Let me get to the next one. Hatfield commissioners have preserved roughly 30 acres over the last year. We talked about Clements Park and some other spots throughout the town, and we're this close, and I've probably been saying this for years, but we're this close to preserving another 45 acres, which will turn our School Road Park that you may be familiar with, which is our largest park. It will turn into about 125 acre park. And we have a lot of partnerships in store for that park. And we hope that will turn into a crown jewel of the county. So we've been working on that, and hopefully next year I'll have some real big news regarding that. So big projects coming to Hatfield. Here's why you have trucks. So we've got 65 homes being built on Cowpath and Township Line Road. We've got 325 homes being built on 40-foot across from the Pizza Pub, age-restricted community. Clemens Food Group's expanding, our largest employer, 300,000 square foot warehouse facility that they're going to make bacon. Hopefully the smell's a little tastier. We've got 3 very large warehouses coming in on 309 at Sterling. You see the one looked like a prison at first, but now it's starting to finalize and it looks pretty nice. They're going to have some large tenants coming in. They have one, it's not Amazon. So we hear that often, it's not Amazon. But there are others coming in. We have other open space pieces that are being developed, and everybody that comes in wants to do warehouses. Every private project we have, non-residential, is our warehouse. So I ordered 2 things on Amazon this morning. That's why we need warehouses. My 6-year-old knows how to order it as well. I'm running out of time. So beautiful Wawa coming at Broad and Cowpath. Another Wawa, our 3rd in the township, with 12 Dunkin' Donuts. Three interesting facts I wanted to share with the group this morning before I'm done. In Hatfield, 20% of our residents were not born in this country. So it's something to think about. It's also something for us to think about as we provide them services and communicate with them and build relationships. 20% of them did not learn English as their first language. Clements Food Group, our largest employer in the township, is also the 16th largest in the county, which is interesting. And Hatfield Township has over 1,200 businesses in it, believe it or not. And we are proud and happy to support all of them. So thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much. Aaron, I see an audit in your future, okay? You think you don't have any hair now, buddy? Right till January 4th.
I have a super PAC. You won't know.
Audit aside, the tax collector's office is co-located in our new township building, or relatively new township building.
For now.
For now, yeah. So I'm gonna have to learn to dial it down a little bit because they run a quiet shop and me, I'm not that quiet. So anyway, thank you, Aaron, and a lot of interesting tidbits. Speaking of interesting tidbits and what I think is one of the most successful success stories in our region is what we're standing here right now. It's our new home for the chamber and other residents and businesses. And one visionary you'll hear from a little while later from years ago, but the gentleman who's been really accountable for the execution and implementation of turning this town around is none other than John Ernst. And John, congratulations again. I am so proud to be a North Penn resident because of the partnerships you've worked with your communities, neighbors, and you're really making this a terrific place to come to. So John, Lansdale Borough.
Thank you, folks. And this is, as we all know, this is a team effort. This is not one person. This is a huge team of people that get this all done. Next year, I'm going to be changing municipalities so I don't have to follow Aaron. I'm screwed. And I also want to thank the chamber for giving us an extra minute this year, too. Great, thank you. So speaking of the election, Lansdale Borough, for anybody but me that keeps track of this stuff, we had 2 seats change in our 9-person council. And our mayor will be remaining as mayor. So I have now 10 Democrat elected officials. That's fully majority. Our census results this year. We have grown in the past 10 years from about 16,500 to 18,800. And that is with 75 to 80% total count. So that's a huge number for us to take on as additional residents. And talking about budgets, we are all in the midst or towards the end of our budget season. For those of us that live in Lansdale, we can expect a tax hike this year. So we're working out the numbers, but that's where we are at this point. And there's no way to sugarcoat that, but we are where we are. For construction projects, Lansdale thankfully has slowed down a little bit due to COVID. But the big project that is under construction right now is the Luxor apartment building, which is on South Broad Street. As you head towards Upper Gwen, it is behind the buildings on Broad Street. Our Liberty Bell Trail goes through that area. It used to be the Lansdale Finishers site. It is a 5-story apartment building with approximately 215 apartments. It is now just starting to come out of the ground. This morning, when I was on my way to work, I saw a truck with steel waiting to be pulled in the lot. So the vertical construction is starting. We have 2 major road projects in the borough this year, Laurel Avenue and Columbia Avenue, both of them what I consider open heart surgery, where we completely take in and we do the infrastructure. Matt is certainly very much aware that it's happening in front of his house for the past 6 months. I apologize about that inconvenience. And then Jamie talked about some energy issues. Last time we were together via Zoom, I spoke about solar power in the borough. We have completed our solar project right now. We are running Lansdale Borough Building, Lansdale Electric Services Building, and half of our wastewater treatment on solar power right now. So we are generating approximately 1 megawatt of power every year to get this, every day, I guess, to get this project done. So we're always looking for more land. We're looking for partnerships so that we can decrease our load on the grid. A couple of new businesses that are coming into town. There's a grocery store coming into Lansdale. That is in Pavilion Shopping Center on South Broad. Many of us remember Vidalia and Food Town or whatever the heck it was. That's been vacant for several years. There's a discount grocery store coming in. They're going through modifications right now. It will be open after the beginning of the year because they don't want to try and compete with the holiday season to get a business up and running. There's a new Mexican restaurant in town on West Main Street in the former Manna on Main Street kitchen area. It's called Rio Dolce. I highly recommend it. It's excellent food. And I get 1 minute to fit all this in.
John, take 2. You're on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're going to work for him. My favorite restaurant, Yanni's Greek restaurant, is no longer in town. But there's another Greek restaurant coming in his place. So we're hoping that that'll happen in the next couple of months. I would not be speaking about Lansdale if I could not talk about the events that are coming. So Mardi Gras Parade. Discover Lansdale has taken over that event and it will be happening this year. It's the 70th anniversary. That is happening on Saturday, November 20th. Our Christmas tree lighting, Friday, December 3rd. And then next year, 150th anniversary of Lansdale. So that is a huge event for us. 1872 is when we were officially incorporated. And a couple of the events that we're talking about now, and I'll finish with this. My favorite sport, baseball. I am responsible for coordinating an antique baseball game. Doubleheader in May. So we'll be doing that. Day in the Park, flea market, something that used to happen in Lansdale. We're bringing that back. Antique auto show, representing all the different auto dealers that were in Lansdale through history. Anniversary parade. Community picnic in Memorial Park, where everybody brings their food and we just gather as a community in the park. And then, of course, our Founders Day in August, which is fireworks. I expect them to be somewhat more spectacular than usual. So that's what I got. Thank you for your time.
And by the way, I would be remiss, for our colleagues in the business community, please reach out to our neighbors here. And it may be an opportunity to tout your wares at some of these events. We have a strong tradition here at the Chamber of supporting our municipalities and their events. So if it makes sense for you in leveraging your marketing dollars, not only with us, but also with our neighbors in the municipal communities, that would be great. That's a win-win. Next in our lineup is, where's my old friend Carol? There she is. Carol McCreary. Carol is also state.
Let's be old.
My young friend Carol. I always get in trouble when I say that. My wife says that to me all the time. That's a whole other thing. Carolyn, you're in the job, what, 18 months, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years
No,
in January.
no kidding. Currently, was here, was finance director in Lansdale for several years and then moved on in your municipal career, Plumstead, and she's now the manager here in Montgomery Township. I know you have a lot of exciting things to talk about, so.
Not as exciting as what's going on in Hatfield. Thank you. Just before I start, just for all of you, the managers that you have here, and I'm biased, but they are just an outstanding group of individuals. They got us through COVID, many Zoom calls, commiserating, trying to figure out just what the heck we were doing. And when you hear everything that's going on in their communities on top of that, I'm just so blessed to have been able to land in the North Penn community. So in Montgomery Township, a lot of things are going on. We hired a new public works director. We were fortunate that we had a candidate internally. So he just came in and wowed us with his vision for the department, and we're like, he's it. We brought in 2 new police officers. They're actually replacing 2 who left. Sad thing, 33 years ago when my chief was hired, there were 700 and some applicants. We barely had 80 this time. So this is something we're seeing in law enforcement, and it's ironic, if I can get a little political, that last year the climate was very different than this year. Everybody's running on a law and order platform, and our police are for the better for it. We are updating our comprehensive plan. We haven't done that since 2002, and a lot has changed in Montgomery. We had a survey, and it's funny because people just amaze me. They want more restaurants. I look at Montgomery and think, what restaurant don't we have? They want more restaurants. So we're responding. Shake Shack is coming to Montgomery Township, where the Wendy's was in front of Airport Square. So Wendy's has moved down 309 to where the Wawa is. That Wawa is busy all the time, as all Wawas are. But really, when you think about it, traveling southbound on 309, before the Wawa came to Hatfield, where could you get gas? There was no place for people going and commuting every day. So that Wawa is crazy busy. There's also talk about another standalone restaurant coming in the front of Airport Square, and one coming in and doing a tear down where KFC was. There is also traffic. Anybody who's in the North Penn region, I come down here, I forget how bad traffic can be. I got spoiled last year starting in COVID. I had my windows open most of the year because there was nobody out there. Now it's trucks, car horns, but to me, that ship has sailed. We are where we are. The great thing about the North Penn region is all the highways that traverse through us bring visitors daily. The bad thing is there's traffic. We're doing a new emphasis with this board on walkability in the township. So for decades, it was get the traffic through, adaptive systems on 309, get the traffic through. Now we're looking at, okay, what are we going to do to give people that sense of they're in the community? So instead of taking money from developers when they come in lieu of sidewalks, we're making them put them in. We're trails, we're working on a power line trail, which will connect the parkway over to our rec building, and then hopefully ultimately over to the Horsham side where the power line trail is, although Pico's telling me phase 2 might not happen because they have a new philosophy as far as trails underneath their wires, and we're just gonna have to deal with that. As far as our electric, we don't generate our own electric, we don't distribute electric, but we did sign a 5-year contract that will be 100% green going forward, so we're pleased with that. We're also upgrading traffic signals on 309. We received a Green Light Go grant, so you'll be seeing that work. And I understand that PennDOT is going to be starting work on the 5 Points intersection. This is one of those, well, we'll never see this. The bid has been awarded. Construction is supposed to start in the spring. As far as land development, as John spoke about the Luxor Apartments, Westrom has also approached Montgomery Township about putting 263 high-end apartments with on-site amenities behind the roadway in, which is on Route 309. WB Homes is proposing 36 townhomes behind the new Wawa. And then the biggest one is what's called the Village of Windsor. That is behind Airport Square, close to the quarry. It's a mixed-use development of 41 acres. It's going to have 259 units, independent living, assisted living, and a memory care center, along with 2 medical office buildings and a restaurant. This is one of those where it stops and starts. They rush to get plans in for review. Everybody gets on board. We have this review, and then they just sort of go away again. So we'll see what happens. Also, anybody who's been around has seen the water tower behind Airport Square that's being put up. So the plan is to bring that one fully online, take another one offline so that it can be refurbished, repainted, and then ultimately take the one down over in High Point, do the same, and then all 3 will be up and we'll have an abundance of water and redundancy in the system. As far as our operations, we're fortunate. We were not adversely affected by the pandemic. We have such a variety of employers and residents who work in so many different types of jobs that our revenue really didn't take the hit that people were predicting. So we're very fortunate. 2022 is going to see $8 million investment in capital. We actually just borrowed $15 million at under 2%, which was, I got a 3-2 vote. I still can't believe it was 3-2, but there is no other time to borrow than right now. I mean, I think it was 1.67% for 30 years locked in, and that's just unheard of. So we'll be doing a lot of work on our traffic signals, on our stormwater. And then finally, the biggest question mark in Montgomery Township is obviously the mall. The mall is in foreclosure. The mall is for sale. I did talk to one developer from out of state. They had been on site. Supposedly bids were due in September and we've heard nothing. What we would love to see in my perfect world, even though I'm not a supervisor, is I would love to see a mixed use development go in there. I don't want to see it rely solely on commercial or solely on retail. We don't want people to talk about e-commerce warehouses. It's not a good fit for us, even though 309 and DeKalb and the 202 Parkway, the sense of place that people need can be made by this mall. A town center, some green space, places where people can gather, entertainment, restaurants, since obviously we don't have enough, and then some type of housing, because even though there were certain candidates who ran on an anti-development, no high-density housing, people want to live here and they can't all afford the 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, $800,000 home that's being sold right now. So if people want to move back into apartments or condos, that's the market's choice in my mind. And it's centrally located. Everybody loves the school district, so we're hopeful. We just don't know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen.
Thank you, Carolyn. Absolutely amazing. I was telling some folks this morning, when we started this series 6 years ago, I think the one meeting, there was like the only economic development were new Wawas and CVS's being built. Remember that? I mean, and we all have our opinions, but smart growth is smart growth. And you're right, we have a tremendous quality of life here in our region and in Bucks and Montgomery County. I mean, it's great. And, we're creatures of our own success, I guess, for lack of, or victims of our own success. And anyway, thank you. Great update. And Shake Shack, man, I don't have to go to King of Prussia. I love it. There you go. Let me get a chicken pizza and then I'll be in hot. Shallow commercial of somebody I don't know. Somebody I do know, and a Lansdale resident still, right, Matt?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I met Matt years ago in my previous life, and when he was an elected official, and we kind of got to know each other, and then we parted ways and got to know each other again. And now Matt's now the manager in New Britain Township. I always get those two confused, but in New Britain Township, I shouldn't. Amanda's a lot more prettier than you, trust me. Amanda Zimmerman it is. But all kidding aside, Matt's relatively new in his post now, and we're delighted to have you here, and let's have a Chamber of Commerce welcome for Matt Webb.
Good morning. What a heck of a commute. Like going to New Britain Township was a change, but 50-minute commute down to Narberth, crossing the Schuylkill, nightmarish. Now 15-minute commute. Oh my God, I've never worked that close to home before. This commute, 2-minute commute, I can even get used to that. Wow, that's so amazing. You hear about all of these like development projects. You are so busy. It's so different. Let me tell you, it is by design. It is a lot more quieter. If you've ever spent time around the Peace Valley Park area, that's New Britain Township. And they have a long-standing tradition of permanently preserving open space. And that is a priority of theirs. And the board is continuing to be pump the brakes on development, pump the brakes on development. It's mostly residential. We have very little commercial. That little snippet of Butler Avenue from County Line up to Chalfont Borough is where we have all of our commercial. Chalfont Borough acts as our main street. And so we have a really good relationship with Chalfont Borough, using that as New Britain Township's main street. We don't have a lot of development. We're a rather large municipality, but because of that long-standing tradition of permanently preserving open space, we don't have development. That being said, we have a fair share, but nothing to compare with what we just heard. The biggest change coming is a Wawa.
I thought you were going to say that.
I'm here to reclaim the talk of Wawa. It is, because if you're familiar with that corner on County Line Road in Butler Avenue, there's an old Wawa at that corner. It's a heck of a time to get in and out of. You just go up a couple of curb cuts. There's a new super Wawa with gas. That is a big to-do. They're also going to be selling alcohol, which is a change for Wawa in this region. Yep. They don't have the license yet, but the board approved it 2 months ago, a public hearing, so they're still waiting on the license from the state, but that's a big change regionally, as well as New Britain Township. 2021 has been a year of transition for New Britain Township. I'm 6 months into it. Our chief of police is 5 months into it. Our finance director is 1.5 months into it, and we currently don't have a planning and zoning office. So lots of change going on. I'm looking forward to having a full staff and having some stability, because I'm tired of going through the interview process. I'm tired of somebody coming in and saying, I'm retiring. No, that was like my first day on the job, finance director. I'm retiring. Thanks so much. Our chief of police is a former deputy chief of Norristown, and he is amazing. And he's coming in, and both he and I were brought in to modernize the business processes of New Britain Township, modernize and professionalize it. We have a long-standing tradition; things have been run really well, but it's kind of stuck in the mid-90s. Lots of paper-based things, right? I'm more tech-savvy. It's the notes on the phone thing. To get us into, to still think about how we support that long-standing tradition of open space, keep it relaxed, and yet modernize. It's kind of a delicate dance. Big development, there where the High Point, the Philadelphia Sports Club is, County Line Road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Conditional use was approved. That is going to be no more. It is going to be 137 townhomes. Fox Lane, they're coming in. I don't know if you've driven through there recently. It's seen better days. So that is the biggest development that's coming in. Conditional use was approved last month. Subdivision land development plans, which should be coming in first of the year. So that's going to be a big deal in 2021. There's also a vacant spot of land between the Chalfont Motor Lodge and Spatolas. That's also going to be developed into a mixed-use commercial apartments. 150th anniversary, 300th anniversary. I couldn't believe it, right? I was like, wait, what? 1723, before the United States. Yep, in 2023. So we're working on that. We've got some trail stuff happening, that sort of thing too. And it's just kind of cool to be in a building that I kind of had a hand in. So it was cool being on the elected side, seeing this is a vacant space, underutilized, planning background, coming in on council and say, hey, how can we rejuvenate this town and make it something that we know it can be? And putting the professional staff in place, creating that vision and supporting them through it. It's pretty cool to walk around with your kids and say, yeah, this was our idea. This was our idea here too. And look, and here we are. So, pretty cool to be giving a presentation in a building that.
You had a lot to do with it. Had a little bit, a lot to do. Thank you, man. That's fantastic. And your town is old, okay? I'm just gonna say that.
The tax collector then?
I was a cadet at Valley Forge Military Academy, kicking people's butts like you're, oh, okay, good size, my buddy Dan Wild over there. Speaking of buddies, I have a lot of respect for this young lady. Christine, come on up. She took over the reins in North Wales Borough, and boy, what a success story. I mean, they got a lot of great things going on there, and she's the brains behind the operation. So, Christine Hart from North Wales Borough. Good morning.
I don't know about that. Like John said, it's a team effort always. We're a small town with a big heart. It's hard to come up here after all of these professionals because Aaron, and all through our COVID and Zoom meetings, he always had something that we couldn't top. You know, right, John? I mean, it's been crazy, but to ditto the comments of Carolyn, the past 60 months or so, working collaboratively with the North Penn area managers has been nothing but a godsend. Through COVID, I think we've all become stronger, more united, and we've worked better together. Oftentimes you get caught up in your own world, your own little community, and you forget that right next door, you have Sandra, you have John, you have Carolyn, so on and so forth. Jamie, hopefully congratulations are in order. You've been a huge assistant to Mike, and I'm sure he's very grateful. But so thank you to all my colleagues. But as far as population, John was talking about the census results. I'm here to report North Wales grew by 40 people. So for years I've been saying 3229, 3269. So, but it is very good to see because we all know how the housing market has been. We've been traditionally known as a very bedroom, stable, older demographic. We're seeing a lot of new families move in. A lot of those homes have been occupied now by young families coming in. We've seen a huge uptick on our transfer tax, obviously, because of the housing market. We are in the middle of budget. We're financially sound. We may be having a very slight tax increase, but it's going to go all to infrastructure. We're 150 plus years old. We celebrated our 150th. It's going to go to emergency management services and infrastructure, and it'll probably be about $500,000, but we're working that out. You hear about comprehensive plans all the time. We had done our comprehensive plan about 5 years ago, but it's somewhat a mimic of the Montgomery County 2040. We have a North Wales 2040. We had a priority chart. Much of our residents want to see restaurants too. We obviously have our stronghold Tex-Mex, Tony's Pizza, Alice's Bakery, probably forgetting some, Dunkin', Everything Bagel. Unfortunately, we just lost a Main Street frontage of North Wales Pharmacy. Apparently the owner bought Rand Pharmacy in Harleysville. So that's sad to see. So anybody that knows a pharmacist that wants to start out, North Wales would be a great place to do it. I'm proud to say that we've been a recipient of 2 grants in the past year, the Monco 2040 for our Center Street Gateway. If you're not familiar with Center Street, it is it runs down through where there's a connecting in our industrial park to meet Parkside playground entrance. So we've worked with Sandra. Upper Gwinnett has just recently paved and lit the path. Many of our residents and even the other side of Upper Gwinnett Township residents utilize Center Street as a gateway into Norglen Pool, Parkside, the tennis courts, so on and so forth. So we're very proud that that's going to have a new addition of lighting, sidewalks, and a pedestrian crossing at Walnut Street and Center. Walnut Street is also known as North Wales Road. highly traveled, just as our Summit Town Pike, which is our main street. And I'm stealing this, but we've always been considered the donut hole of Upper Queen. But we are filled with tons of cream and jelly. And I mean that because we just got done our walkability study. We are 89% walkable. Our goal is obviously 100%. We just applied for another federal grant to expand Center Street Gateway to put sidewalks down from Prospect, which newly had sidewalks at Prospect and Washington for Safe Routes to School. We're hoping to connect that, have sidewalks on West and Center to even complete more of the walkability, as well as a new gateway to the Liberty Bell Trail, which Sandra and Hatfield are working so hard on. So those are all good things. We just were awarded the transportation grant from Montgomery County, and that's to actually enhance the pedestrian crossing at Walnut. So we're seeing more features there, thanks to McMahon. Actually, they designed that. The walkability study was important because we pride ourselves on not only our historic architecture, but the ability that you have as a resident and business owner to complete several tasks in under 10 or 15 minutes by walking. Not only is that promoting a more healthy lifestyle, but we talk about traffic. We all come home, we decompress. It's nice to be in the neighborhood. You know your neighbor, you can walk out town, downtown. You can do everything from pick up, your dry cleaning, have a cocktail, go get your car fixed, mail a letter, go to the library, which we are so fortunate. North Wales Area Library is a tremendous asset to our borough. The list goes on and on. And I should say, I don't want to let you out, Duncan. You can actually also get your financial investment advice on Main Street at Edward Jones. Just like the commercial, that downtown Edward Jones right on the corner of Main Street. We actually 2 years ago opened an arts and cultural center. We took over the St. Luke's Church, St. Luke's Church at 125 North Main Street. They're actually running the actual church part, but we have turned it into a readaptive use. We have our North Penn Art Alliance there. We're offering fall classes. There's a child's camp there. So that'll be up and coming. It kind of started growing some momentum, and then COVID hit, so we're starting over there. But there's tons to do. Hopefully in 2022, we're going to see an expansion start with the North Penn Fire Company, phase 2. Maybe if you go down Main Street, you've seen the clock tower. Oh, man, I have so much more for such a small town, but going on and on. Our fund balance is strong. Our TOD, we're working on a text amendment to actually add some new uses in our trans-oriented development. If you don't know where that is, it's right along the train station parking lot. And we are so proud that 107 Brewing Company is doing awesome.
I was wondering when you were going to mention that.
And for every town has one, right? Ours is McKeever's building. We all know that it's not looking so great. It is for sale. We're hoping to see a redevelopment there. We've had several people come in, but nothing has come to fruition. And paving projects, we just completed one, but we have another one for 2022. And that's about it.
I told you, my brother's been an investor in North Wales for years, and he loves it every day. Your team is very cooperative with people who own property, and that's to be applauded. Housekeeping note, managers, at the end of our form here, if you could stay back for a minute, we'd like to get a picture for our records and for everyone to see you all here. And then again, we will have question and answers at the end if anyone has any. And I have one for Matt, but we'll wait till after our dear friend Sandra Snedell provides an update. Speaking of which, she claims to be Aaron Bieber's friend. I don't think but she's another dynamite woman, and she's relatively, well, you're what, you're plus now?
It'll be 3 years.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, 3+ years over in Upper Gwinnett, and anyone who's ever, during the summer, what a place to hang out with your family. Summer league basketball, family nights in the park. I mean, this young lady and her team, they do a tremendous job over there. So, Sandra,
Thanks.
Upper Gwinnett Township, time's yours.
I can't believe everyone's been talking about Parkside Place and no one mentioned pickleball. It's like a miracle. Must be the wrong group. Thank you for having me today, and I have to echo all of the sentiments about the managers in the North Penn region. And I have my old school friends from Bucks County, Chalfont, and New Britain. I got engaged in Peace Valley Park. My mom's a New Britain resident, and I love Chalfont Borough. That's my first manager's job was there. So a few things about Upper Gwinnett Township. We too have really taken an approach towards grants in the past few years, and the best one that I'm so excited to talk about today is a $1.2 million grant we got to replace the Summitown Pike Bridge over the Wissahickon near Boston Style Pizza. It was a project that we had to do to replace that bridge. I think the bridge was built in 1927 and it's got some issues with the infrastructure. We did a repair and discovered that it needs to be replaced. So we're really excited about that. It's through the multimodal transportation funding from PennDOT. So that's going to save the taxpayers a lot of money, and we are going to do the project in a phased approach to minimize disruption as much as possible because it is the main thoroughfare. We also received a Monco 2040 grant this year. The board has a huge focus on walkability, and our Monco 2040 grant is for the installation of flashing signalized stop signs, as well as crosswalks at several different locations throughout the township. So if you're interested, I'm not going to go through all the locations, but they are 2 locations near elementary schools to improve crosswalks and at some important stop sign crossings. We're also working on 2 trail feasibility studies. One we're doing just ourselves, the Pico Powerline Trail Study, and also the feasibility study for the Liberty Bell Trail, which the other managers have talked about. That's a great project. Basically, every community in this room, except for the Bucks communities, is working on that together. So it's a great project. Our comp plan, everyone's talking about the comp plans as well. Our board just finished and approved theirs this year. Our residents probably also want more restaurants, but they also really want walkability, open space, and trails. And I think it's because we have such a jewel at Parkside Place, but it's really hard unless you live close to it to get there. I think if we did a walkability study, our score would be like 10. We didn't do it, but we have a lot of sidewalk gaps, a lot of trail gaps. We have great trails in and around Parkside, but they don't always connect. So that's the goal with the Pico Trail and the Liberty Bell Trail. So we'll get there. It'll be like Aaron says, like someday, but probably in the next 20 years. Eventually it'll all get built. We also are busy with development. We are very, very lucky to have the county's largest employer in Upper Gwinnett Township, Merck, as well as a bunch of other great businesses in the township, which lots of you have. And Merck continues to invest in the West Point campus. They have a couple new buildings each year. So it's not always that they're expanding their footprint. A lot of times they're changing what the buildings are on the campus, but that still results in increased revenue for the township. So they have 2 new buildings right now that they're working on. We also have a proposed townhome development just across the street from Merck. Most of our residential development is smaller infill development. So 3 small homes here, 17 townhomes there, nothing huge. I'm not sure that there's really any parcels left in Upper Gwinnett where you'd see like hundreds of townhomes. Well, there is one, possibly, but that's a topic I don't want to touch today.
I'll take that off the list.
There's also the Royal Farms site is being developed. That's where the Royal Farms is there. The rear of the site, there is a proposed daycare use there, and additionally 2 or 3 additional commercial sites that are still proposed to be developed. So the developer is working to get tenants there. We know they have a daycare use proposed. They did receive conditional use approval for a daycare there, and they're still looking for filling the other 2 to 3. It depends what type of commercial uses they get in there, but I think they're looking at restaurants. I heard a sandwich shop, things like that. We also have a few warehouse developments going on along with Lincoln Avenue. I have to mention our 2 newest police officers, they're canines, Fury and Gunner. We love them. I get to see them almost every day, and they really are my favorites. They're so cool. It's the second time in my career that we've had canine officers, and they are really a great addition to the police department. One will be trained for bomb detection, and the other will specialize in drug detection, but they're also a great tool for a lot of other reasons in our department. And we're very proud that they are funded completely through community donations. So we're very thankful that our community has been so generous. With that, there's shirts that you can buy for the K-9 unit, lots of different ways that you can donate. And they're finishing out their training and they're really cool dogs. Also, along that same note of money, there will be no tax increase proposed in the Upper Gwinnett budget this year. We're very sorry, John. I always have to, we, similar to Carolyn, Upper Gwinnett did not take a big hit. I see Duncan giving me a thumbs up. And other Upper Gwinnett residents might also want to give me a thumbs up, but lots of them, yes. We were very lucky. We did not take a serious hit. We prepared for a serious hit during COVID because it was very uncertain during those budget years with what was going to happen with our earned income tax, what would the impact be on our local community budget. And we just did not see an impact. In fact, we saw this crazy increase in our revenue in building permits. Like our residents, I guess, just took the money and invested in their homes.
DIY.
Yeah, DIY, yeah. Lots of patios, pools, sheds. Everyone wanted to make their homes better than they were before because they were spending more time there. And last thing I want to say is, like Erin, we saw an increase in the diversity of our residents in the 2020 census. And we've made some changes and some training for our staff. We've implemented, everyone got trained in Google Translate. So if we do have a resident that joins us at the office that comes in, where everyone's able to provide services to them using Google Translate. So it's an exciting time in Upper Gwinnett, and that's all. I think I've hit my time.
Great.
They don't have to call a kid, which makes me feel good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Aaron, feel free to tell the folks there to have a tax increase for how many years?
That is correct. We are at, it's probably not gonna match some of these other things.
Right.
We're up to 8.
Oh, ours is also 8 years. Yeah.
So we got some folks need a little assistance, other folks in our serving area are not going to see, the residents are not going to see a tax increase. So how about a round of applause for our manager? Really good stuff and very well timed. Now, question and answers for folks on Zoom. Any questions for any of our managers? No? No? Going once, twice? Okay. I have one question and then I'll open it up to the floor. Matt, if I heard you correctly, High Point is going to be closing?
Oh,
It's closed?
I believe it's still open.
Because they're charging me. I signed up for membership there and I just want to, so they're closing, whatever. Okay. I'll invest in them until they close. Okay.
All I can say is that the conditional use application was approved. They will be submitting subdivision land development plans the first of the year.
Got it.
Whether they're still open or not, that's a private business
Understood.
decision.
Thank you for the intelligence. Sir, you have a question?
I live in Northwell. Thank you, Christine. And yes, the McKeevers is always on my mind.
Right.
I also live right near Upper Gwinnett, and on my mind is what's going on with the Sumney and the Country Bride. What is that Wawa? What's the?
so the Wawa, that's always, I didn't want to bring up Wawa.
Wawa,
but-
That's what you didn't want to talk about.
If you want to go to Wawa, you might have to visit one of our neighboring North Penn Wawas, because in Upper Gwinnett, so there's a long-standing court battle about that Wawa. Every decision has been upheld in Upper Gwinnett's favor, so Wawa has no approval to build at a corner in Upper Gwinnett Township. It went up to the state Supreme Court, and so they do not have an approval to build a Wawa there. But the property owner still owns that property, and
To be determined. What
to be determined. And if you want to read all of the details, you can visit the rumor mill page on our website. They have every detail
Yeah.
of that legal battle.
To be determined. Okay.
Yeah.
TBD. Any other questions?
Christine, I live in Upper Gwinnett,
Hi.
and certainly very, very close to the borough. What's the construction that's going to be going on near where? What homes are being built?
Oh, so that's a proposed development. It's not approved yet,
No.
but it's called Wheatley Walk, and it is where, right next to the, I'm flaking on the name, center. What's the,
Terminal?
yes, what's the name of that retirement home?
You speak Gwinnett Square.
Gwinnett Square.
Gwinnett
Yeah.
Sawyer,
Oh,
the old one.
Square.
Yeah, so there's an open space area there between
I
that and the appliance store. And it's 17 proposed
Keepers,
townhomes,
Keepers.
Keepers, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. Is that what that house is?
Yes, it's where that
Yeah,
house is
right.
close to the road that would be demolished.
Hey, Dave,
Yeah, it's kind of like a question open to everybody. You know, I've been a resident of this area for a long time, was born and raised in Lansdale. My wife and I live in Upper Gwinnett, and often we hear about things that occur in the North Bend area after they happen. Now, I don't go searching for things all the time, but wondering if there's been any thought to a community-wide, North Penn-wide website, North Penn-wide communications to all the residents, because so many things are happening in every community. We don't, I mean, we're just a few miles away, but we really don't know it. And so it may help to bring North Bend community together. I mean, you're looking for a sense of place within your own municipality, but I think you can also drive it within the entire North Bend area. So I would suggest to the managers to think about that, whether it's an app or a website or some sort of cross promotion on the different websites for each municipality. So we know what's going on. Events are shared across the North Bend area. I would just,
Carol, you want to comment
I
on
would
that?
ask you to think about it.
Okay.
Well, my first thought as a manager, all right, who's gonna take that one?
I was just thinking,
But one
the tax increase maybe one of these two could hire somebody to handle that.
So one thing we did.
Aaron,
in
I
the
already
box,
took the lead on something. You're trying to come on the trails.
you know, recognizing that the communities in Central Bucks were all very different, had different offerings for their residents and the greater community, we would promote each other's events. So, you know, I was in Plumstead, I could never be at Doylestown Borough, but when they had the bike race and the arts festival, we promoted it.
Right.
Likewise, when there's gonna be a dam release and people want to go to the creek to go whitewater rafting, you know, they would do the same thing for Plumstead. Or if, you know, a restaurant was opening, because we kind of recognized that, you know, our residents don't know municipal boundaries when they're looking for goods and services and recreational opportunities.
Right.
So it worked. So somebody who was following, you know, our Facebook page could see what was going on around us.
Well,
We would just tag things.
To that point, I have two thoughts. Number one, every municipality has a PEG channel, Public Education Government Channel, where they promote the events and happenings in their own town. Secondly, I'm thinking that from a business standpoint, you have North Penn Now, which I think that's their business model, and their intent is to try to educate the residents, and maybe the municipal leadership could go to them and make it a priority to feed them more information to keep them informed. Food for thought.
Just thought of something.
We're running out of time.
The 309 that used, right next to the Verizon Wireless, between that and the Dunkin' Donut, was an eyesore of a building. The guy put signs. That's demolished. What is that now? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's land development there to put an office building, and there was talk about putting some type of small restaurant there, but it hasn't. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
I got one quick, it's not a question, it's a comment. The chamber instituted a new committee this year called the Montgomery County Development Professionals, and I'm on the advisory board. My name is Dan Wallace. I'm a commercial real estate broker and developer. And all I like to say is a little plug for that committee. What we do is we have monthly breakfast meetings with commercial real estate owners and property developers and warehouses, and we network. So if any of your managers or your zoning people or your economic development people are looking for space in commercial spaces in your townships or your boroughs, come on to us. It's a good group.
Couldn't agree with you more. An excellent way to close.
It is, and I'd like to add, if Pam can send the information about that to all of us, because I think
Yep.
as managers, that would be great.
Well, listen, thank you so much, very much for coming out today. Again, a round of applause for the managers. The managers, could just come up here real quick for a picture. Dave